Volkswagen's ID Buzz has already made a big impact in the UK as one of the quirkiest and most practical electric vehicles on offer. But Volkswagen isn't taking its foot off the gas or off the electric motor and is introducing this. It's the new GTX version, which brings a sportier take on the Buzz while losing none of the practicality or versatility of the standard car. Now we've come out to Mallorca to have a sneak peek at this new performance bus, and it's differentiated from the regular version in a couple of key ways, most notably this cherry red colour which is bespoke to the Buzz. You won't be able to get this on the non-GTX version, and this bus is available in both long and regular wheelbases, which means you've got some options in terms of interior space and extra practicality. Now, to better differentiate the GTX from the standard Buzz, we've got a couple of other features such as the badges at the rear and the unique alloy wheel designs. It's also got a few choice upgrades inside, which will be applied to other Buzz models, but are making their debut here on the GTX. So let's go in and see what it's got to offer. Now, obviously we're quite accustomed to the interior of the regular Buzz, but how does this GTX version differ? Well, we've got some obviously red striping and red stitching and detailing on the seats and on the steering wheel. We've got little GTX badges too to remind you that you're in something a little bit different. And we've also got an upgraded infotainment system, which is similar to the one that we've seen on the ID.7. It's got greater functionality, it's been cleared up, and most importantly, it's got backlit temperature sliders, because obviously on the early ID.3 models, they forgot to do that, so you couldn't use them in the night time. It's also got ChatGPT integrated, so you can use that artificial intelligence to interact with the voice assistant and ask it questions should you want to. Unfortunately, it's not actually operational in this car at the moment. But of course, we've got loads of practicality too, big storage area in the middle, and these lovely fold-out cup holders, which I think are more than large enough for a big drink or for a large cup. We've also got some nice textured areas down here, and what I particularly like on this GTX version is the diamond quilted seats, which make it all feel a little bit more luxurious. We've also got some little GTX badges at the back there too. Similar to the regular Buzz, but I feel like it's just all been lifted slightly. And the dark headlining that you get on the GTX version makes it all feel a little sportier and a little more hushed. That's the only way I can kind of describe it. Obviously, you want a bus to be versatile, and the rear seat of the ID Buzz GTX is nice and spacious with loads of legroom and plenty of adjustability in the seats. Now, you have got the option of having the two captain's chairs here or a middle bench if you'd rather a little bit more spaciousness and a little bit more passenger carrying capacity. But in captain's chair setup, it feels really nice. You've got this large area in the middle of you, which is obviously quite useful for putting larger items down the centre. And we've also got some useful features like the fold-out tray table and these pockets for your mobile phone ahead of you. In this long wheelbase version, we've also got an electric window down the side, which I think is really cool. Obviously, this isn't too much different to the standard Buzz, but in GTX form, with all these little extra red trimmings, it all feels a little bit more upmarket without losing any of that versatility that you expect from a car like this.
The Buzz GTX will be available in two flavours, a normal wheelbase with a 79 kWh battery and a long wheelbase with a larger 86 kWh battery. The smaller battery can charge at speeds of up to 185 kilowatts, and that means a 10 to 80% charge in 25 minutes. The larger battery, meanwhile, can charge at speeds of up to 200 kilowatts, and that means a 10 to 80% charge in half an hour. In top spec, you'll get 258 miles of range too. Both versions will do 0 to 60 miles an hour in 6.3 seconds thanks to an all-wheel drive setup, and you get 335 brake horsepower overall. Plus, the ID Buzz GTX, which is arriving later on this year, can tow up to 1,800 kilograms, which is enough for a small trailer or a lighter boat.
It's worth noting that because of the dual motor setup of the GTX, in standard form it's able to tow up to 1,800 kg, and in long wheelbase form that drops slightly to 1,600. So you're going to be able to get a boat or a small trailer behind this, and I think that really adds to the versatility. And speaking of versatility, in the boot you've got a nice area to access when it comes to loading up. Now, as with the standard Buzz, it's got this kind of dual setup, so you've got this lower section and this upper portion. Right at the moment, we've got the rearmost seats folded flat, which opens up a huge amount of load area. And of course, you can take those middle ones out to turn it into a proper van. Of course, there is also the cargo version, which does away with the seats. But I think as in standard form, in this long wheelbase setup, you've got loads of versatility and plenty of options when it comes to storage. It's quite interesting that Volkswagen has applied the GTX branding to this ID Buzz, because not often do you get the combination of sportiness and practicality, but I think in this context it works quite well. I also think the ability to tow a little bit extra will be very useful to people who want to take a boat along or a small trailer. Of course, there are going to be limitations on range, but that's something that we'll have to find out when we do get a drive of this car. I think that the ID Buzz is already a van which is brimming with personality, but this new GTX version injects a little bit of extra character into what is already quite a characterful bus.